delusional way. So,
Um, for a second, and this is kind of very off topic, so I probably will. None of this will probably be shown, but um, there's several things that I'm aware of that I'd like to run by you and kind of base a theory of mine off of it and ask you what you think about it. So Einstein proved, and correct me if this is a little off. He said that time or energy and matter are interchangeable.
right.
He said that well equals mc squared. So if you have energy, you can have matter, and if you have matter, you can have energy. And he proved that by splitting the atom.
Uh,
Or is that's why we have the ability to
yeah,
split
yeah.
the atom.
No, he didn't split the atom. I mean, he made possible the splitting of the atom, but he came to that the equivalency of mind and matter when he was when he wrote a paper on the photoelectric effect, which he got the Nobel Prize for.
Okay.
And by the way, that paper could be considered the foundation, one of the foundations for quantum mechanics, which he rejected later on.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's an interesting question, because we have this incredible equation, E equals mc squared, and the scientists only look at it. Well, I mean, in the earlier times, how to create the nuclear bomb, because what you do is if you can convert matter, which is plutonium, to energy, then you can blow up things, right? But they haven't looked at it the other way. How do you I mean now the question is, instead of trying to blow things up with the equation, why don't we convert matter to positive energy? I mean, which I think you were leading to.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then they've done experiments where they've shot electrons through cloud chambers,
Okay.
and Einstein says that when you approach the speed of light, matter turns into energy, and when you hit the speed of light, time actually slows down. That relationship slows down. So there's and this is leaping into my theory. So if you exceed the speed of light, you're actually going from point A to point B in exactly no time at all. And one of the things that I've seen before is they can't actually see electrons, but they have instruments to detect that they're there. And one of the ways that they can do that is by shooting an electron through a cloud chamber, and they can accelerate the electron to where it exceeds that speed. So they see this pathway, and then they see the pathway stop. And then as the electron slows down, it reappears back into our known universe. So they see a pathway, and then they see nothingness, and then they see it reappear in the path that it was going.
And nothingness happens after they go faster than the speed of light?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's
Now,
actually
yeah, I'm not sure if Einstein did this, but that's good science that
Yeah.
you're talking about.
And these are just some things that I've pulled up, and I almost feel that if you have a planet, well, let's start by saying that I believe that time and matter, or sorry, time and space are merely a definition of the relationship between things and energy.
Right.
And the way we perceive these things and energy is by using the only thing we can think of is time and space. And it's almost a relationship. So if you have two planets, we can detect space because of the quantitative difference between them. They're both in different locations according to what we think we might see. And now they exist, and because of that change, maybe they come closer together, or maybe they become further apart. But that change is defined by time. We've now said, all right, they're this distance apart, and when they change that distance, they've not only changed in the space term, but also in the time term. Like, it took so much time to change their relationship between each other, and how do we know that? Is because the space is different.
please record that and send it to me, because
Okay.
I think you might be. I mean, first of all, I think you stated Kant a lot better than, well, not better than Kant, but Kant was writing at different time, different terms. But yeah, I think that's very good. I mean, I think, yeah, I would like to, you know, include that. I mean, send it to me, and let me include it in the book. Yeah, I think you're out in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was interesting is that you can't have. Well, send it to me, because I
Okay.
lost it.
Okay.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you know, the 5 or 6 thoughts,
Yeah.
you know, popped into mind, and I didn't have time to process them all. So.
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
So
But
pretty much the basically is what my theory is saying that we only have time and we only have space because of a relationship between matter. And without that matter, without that energy, there's no interaction, there's no space and no time, and I think that's the definition of nothingness, you know.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, that's recorded, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna send that to me.
Yeah, I'll send
right.
the entire
Okay.
interview to you.
Send the entire interview. That will
Okay.
really be good.
Okay.
That's perfect. 'Cause,
So
and then you'll have it, and then I'll have it, and then I can put it in writing into
Okay.
a different meme,
okay.
and then put it in the book. Okay.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. There's one other thing I wanted to run by you. So we have this thing where we say, all right, we're very aware of energy, you know, just based off of these experiments. We know that light acts as a wave and a particle, which we can't explain. So and we have all these, you know, 1950s. We said, all right.
But we don't need to explain it. We just, I mean, an existentialist would say this is what is,
yeah.
and this is what it does.
Right.
And then, I mean, you can go from there and says, well, what does that mean, or you know, how does that have importance to science, and how does that have importance with, you know, our personal our lives? But right now, just why do people have to figure out, you know, why?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a contradiction in the old, you know, in the old way of thinking, but so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, okay. So and so we know all these things happen, so we can observe this in our physical world, which is oftentimes hard because so many questions nowadays that we bring up, we can't test. They merely remain as theories because you almost can't test the intangible. You know, it's very hard. We're living in a place where the only data we can find is based off of instruments that allow us to observe our physical world. So if we test anything, we literally can't look outside of the experiment. You know, we have to experiment within our own experiment.
Right.
Which,
right.
you know, is affected by all these, you know, control groups or non-control groups. You know, like we almost can't test. It's hard to get outside and look, is what I'm saying. So one of the theories that I have, and I want to know what you think. Jumping into massive amounts of assumptions, I've kind of explored the theory of there being multiple universes, and multiple, quantum mechanics suggests that everything's properties, and the only way we can see these properties is based off of predictions. You know, we predict where the electron is. We can't actually say it is here, because once we do that, it's somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And but we can predict where it might be at every one specific time.
Yeah.
So we jump back into a theory where we say, all right, so there's all these properties, and we can only predict probability. And the probability that our universe is splitting off, let's say, into multiple different universes based on so many different variables.
Right. In fact, this is an example of me working, because you're talking about parallel universes.
That's it. Oh,
And this guy just gave a talk at UCD.
Oh.
And so yeah, so science, yeah, recently. So science seems to be working in that direction of the idea of parallel universes, and this is related to string theory. And again, notice the title is called "The Hidden Reality." So we're talking about the intangibles, but evidently we're trying to, reach tangible
yeah.
So that would,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So furthermore, I think that our experience lies within this universe, right? As many times as another one of us breaks off into another universe based on that probability that it might happen. So we move along with this consciousness in this universe, and we know nothing of any other universes, other than maybe testing it one day.
Right.
But so there's all these breaking off, but our experience lies within this universe. So I almost think that fate and the power to decide are one and the same. So you decide your decisions that you make or are going to make have already been made, even though there's something that you think you've decided on, and it's a probability based on your past experiences that determine what you're going to decide at any one point in time. And let's say that probability is different, so that universe splits off. You could choose blue or you could choose red. But since you chose blue in this universe, and there's another probable universe breaking off, this universe has already been decided. You are going to choose blue instead of red. The path of choosing red will lead off into a completely different universe, but your experience doesn't lie within that universe.
Yeah, I think, there's a... I think, from a scientific point of view, we probably should ask Brian Greene. I think he'll give you an answer that's pretty satisfactory.
Yeah.
One question is that, again, it's the old question of determinism versus freedom. And again, there's, like you said, there's a time element in it. And, the determinists would say you don't have a choice.
Right.
Or even if you had a choice, you would always pick green.
Mm-hmm.
So because that's your
personality,
or whatever, you always. So, and it does involve time, because for this to happen, you have to have time, and time is change, right? But I'd like your idea that there's one that and physicists will support you on this, is that there are parallel universes, and then you bring in the psychological aspect, is that if there are parallel universes, then the universes are laid out. What's nice about it is that they're infinite, so you've got infinite number of choices, and then that depending, and let's be existential about it, what you do will determine what path or what universe you take next when it splits.
Right.
And next could be, in my terms, so that we don't have to worry about reincarnation and all that other nonsense. The next is the next moment, right? It could split into another universe.
Right.
So, very good. Yeah, very good.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much, Mr. Tang. I really appreciate it.